What up, what up, what up, world? It's your boy J Star, man. Oh my God. This week's been a crazy week, y'all. Got a lot. I got booked on a big commercial, man. I forgot to tell y'all I'm an actor. So like been very busy this week, man. Wasn't able to get to, the first look videos and things like that for the week 13. So sorry for all that. Sorry for, not being able to record. Also the Thursday night game and things like that this week. It's been very hard, man. Just got booked, like I said, busy. And now I'm having to try to do this video at least for y'all to try to come through on my iPad. So I don't really know how bad the sound might sound, things like that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to really tweak the editing on the sound. So hopefully it doesn't sound too bad and y'all are able to hear me clearly and things like that. So I'm just trying to get this video done for y'all still so that way we can all get out there and win some big money, man. But yeah, just like I said, just been a crazy week. Didn't expect. I mean, well, not gonna say I didn't expect to get booked, but I did get booked, and I'm happy I got booked for sure. But big commercial spot that I had just did this whole week and stuff. So, but let's get into this, man, like we always do. So week 13, we're gonna get into full strategy show here. We starting off with the Green Bay Packers versus the Bears. So big rivalry showdown here. Let me check into my notes so I can make sure I give y'all all the right things that kind of missed doing on the first look and things like that. So I'm gonna try to put everything in one here. It looks like for positions, it looks like the Packers is giving about 16 points to quarterbacks, which I know has been way more than that because quarterback's been able to run and things like that. I mean, it's gonna be different than with Fields because we know he can run. Don't know how much he's gonna run with having a torn ligament in his shoulder, his left shoulder, not his throwing shoulder though. And also, though, I do expect him to run a little bit though, just because he has lost a weapon, a pretty big weapon in Mooney. And it looks like at running backs, the Packers are giving up 27 points to running back. So it's going to be a combination, I feel, of we got Montgomery here at like 6,200 right here. So a combination of him and Fields, I think, are going to be running. So they both could end up picking up, those 26 points or 27 points, I said. So then at wide receiver is 32 points the Packers are giving up, and at tight end is 10 points. So definitely Komet is going to be in play too there. On the other side, though, the Bears is giving up 18 points to quarterback. So, Rodgers is somewhat in play, I feel like, this weekend. If somehow they do get at wide receiver back Dobbs, and so we got to key in on if Dobbs is going to be back or not. Um, because he's, what is it, questionable still. So he did get activated, but I don't know if he's going to play this week just because of the fact that the Packers do have a bye next week. So they might keep him out. They might not. If he's, able to go and everything, we'll see. It could bolster up, the whole wide receiver and weapons for Rodgers, being that we know already Watson has been doing well. And the Bears is giving up about 32 points to receivers. So it's a decent amount of points there. But at running back, they're giving up 27 points, my bad. 27 points there. And at tight end is only about 8 points. So definitely, the running backs are in play. Two on the other side here. But I would think, the receiving, it all depends on if Dobbs is going to play. Because I'm think if Dobbs plays, I kind of feel like Watson does open up still. And I think the Bears have an injury. Let me just check my thing. I think it's still a cornerback out for the Bears. And it is still a cornerback that's out for the Bears. One of their starting cornerbacks that lines up the left side of the field. So, like I say, if Dobbs is able to go, Watson and Dobbs is kind of in play there because of the cornerback being out and the fact that Watson's already been balling lately. So definitely think he's in play that game. And I think that's about it for that whole game there. If you want to take receivers on the other side, you can take a shot maybe at a Claypool or something like that since they are pretty cheap. Like all the receiving options over there are really cheap. But I really would like, Watson, like I said, for sure, being that, and Lazard is still in play too as well. But it's just that Watson's been getting more of the target, especially the big plays. So then we got the Pittsburgh Atlanta game here. Let's see what's the fantasy points here. So it looks like Steelers are giving up about 22 points to quarterbacks. Um, I don't know if, Mariota's going to get all those points just because he kind of runs a lot more than he does throw. And that's more towards, passing quarterbacks and stuff that really get those 22 points against the Steelers. And then running backs is 23 points to running backs that they're giving up. And then they're giving up so many points to receivers, man. 44 points to receivers, there. And then at tight end is about 10 points at tight end. Then on the other side of this game, though, we got the Falcons giving about 21 points. Running back about 25 points, wide receiver and almost the same, like 43 points and a half. So yeah, it's a lot of fantasy points there for receivers. It's just that at least we know, like, Steelers side is the side where, they have a quarterback that actually throws the ball at least a lot to even get those type of points. And then at tight end is 13 points, so pretty decent amount of points there for the Falcons that they're giving up. So I would definitely say, I mean, you could say Drake London is in play if he's going to get the targets, but if he's not going to get a lot of targets, we're going to definitely need more targets than what I've been seeing here. Looking at 4 targets there and 3 and 6, like, 6 will be a good enough amount to maybe do something, but yeah, 4 and 3 is not going to get it done for us. On the other side, though, I'm like Deontay Johnson. He's still getting pretty decent targets here with the 8, 5-5. But if he can get to 8 again, then he's definitely in play. As well as George Pickens, I really think he's going to be a big play. I think for this game, he did drop an end zone touchdown last game, so I feel like if he would have caught that, we're looking at another, what is it? I want to say 18 to 20 something points fantasy for him in that last game. But I mean, being that he's coming from college, playing for Georgia, won the championship here, and going back basically kind of home, to play in front of people I'm sure that know him, and his family and stuff like that. I think he's gonna probably have a huge game there, and then as well as I would say like Fryermuth is definitely in play because he's just consistently getting, being a part of offensive scheme, most of the time 9, 7, 7, 12 targets, So I know he's coming off the weakest game he's had, but definitely he gets back to 7 to 12 targets, then he's going to have a huge game, I think, against Atlanta. And let's see, anything else? I know Najee Harris is actually playing now. Let me just check again just to make sure. I believe, yeah, there he is right there. Yeah, so he's cleared now. It looks like he's going to play. And we know Atlanta has given up, points to running back as well. So that's all in play too. On the other side, like I said, it's really nothing but Drake, if anything, if I was to run back something, because it's just they have a running quarterback and just hasn't been producing well when it comes to receivers and using them the right way. This next game here, we got Denver and Baltimore. Let's just get over there again. So we got Denver and Baltimore, and it's probably a game I won't really have too much from. But it looks like the Broncos only giving up 12 points to a quarterback. But at running back, they're giving up 23 points. So you can kind of combo that with Lamar because he does both of those things. So, and then they're giving up 28 points to receivers. So one of the lowest in the league, I believe, in fantasy points to receivers coming out from the Broncos, at least. At tight end, they're giving up 11 points. So decent amount of points there if you want to take a shot at like Andrews or something. But on the Ravens side, they're giving up about 19 points to quarterback, 20 points to running back, 38.4 points to receivers. So that's where you really want to attack it, like a Sutton or any other options, I would say, a receiver. But it's just that Russell hasn't really been connecting too well with anybody. Let's see if is Judy gonna be back or something this game? Game time decision. Okay, so we'll have to see because somebody like that could be in play if he was, a go. But like I said, I kind of don't even really want to touch on this game just because of the fact Russell just hasn't been cooking at all this year. This whole season has just been pretty trash to me. At tight end, though, we're looking at about 12 points there. So if you want to probably go there, at least you're not gambling so much. I would feel that because Dolce is still only 3,400. So if I had to take any shot on this game, it'd probably be the tight ends, probably on either side of the game. But that's about it for that game. Let's move on to the next game here. Get back to this quarterback here. We got Jacksonville and Detroit. Great game here. Looking at, let's see, what's the fantasy points for this game? Jaguars. There y'all go. So Jaguars are giving up 20.5 fantasy points. And then to quarterback, and then at running back, they're giving up 25.4. At wide receiver, 36.1. So pretty decent amount of points there at receiver. It's pretty good points too at quarterback, of course. But tight end at about 11 points there is what they're giving up. And then the Lions are giving up 25.5 to quarterback. So probably one of the most fantasy points I think we have on the slate to be given up to a quarterback is the Lions defense. And then at running back, they're giving up 24 points. At wide receiver, 40.5. So crazy amount of fantasy points there. And then tight end, 15.3 fantasy points. So one of the highest tight end fantasy points too. So definitely Trevor Lawrence, Goff, both are in play here because of the fact we're looking at over 20 fantasy points to quarterback for both teams. Running back here, let's see. With running back here, we see ETN is supposed to. I think he's gonna play for sure, and then yeah, foot questionable. But it looks like they said he was gonna be able to play. Yeah, good to go. So ETN, can capture a whole 24 points there is what it's saying here with the note. So, and then on the other side, we're looking at about 25 points that could go to Jamal Williams possibly. That's all in play for them. And then at receiver, though, we know what we got. St. Brown's possible can get, all the 36 fantasy points here. Like, he could possibly get that. I mean, he's a big play receiver for them, all a part of all their biggest plays and things like that. And we know Jaguars give up huge amount of fantasy points to receivers that get the ball a lot, or targeted a lot. So definitely I would say St. Brown is in play for all that. A big 30 something fantasy point day easily. On the other side, though, with the 40 and a half fantasy points given up for the other side, I mean, Kurt, Zay Jones, all is in play again. The receivers on this side is all in play again. Marvin Jones, everybody out, like I said, is all in play there. Even at tight end, if somehow, let's see, if Evan Ingram, they're all healthy, right? If Evan Ingram can start getting more targets, like how he was in the beginning in the season, it was like crazy amount of targets, 10, 6, 7, 6 right here. It's like, what happened? I don't know, but we know he's huge in play for 15 points is what it's saying. So like it's just about him getting targets more than just these little one and stuff like that. I wouldn't want the tight end on the other side of this game, but yeah, this is a huge game, man. Definitely, I would feel like you probably going to have something from this game to win the slate. And then we got Cleveland versus Houston with the return of Deshaun Watson and things like that. I kind of feel like this game can go like two ways. I feel like looking at that Deshaun Watson comes out on fire or something for his first game back. The only thing, it is on the road, so we don't know which Amari Cooper we're gonna get to show up. And I do feel that though is out of he can come out rusty, and somehow like the Texans defense could be a decent defense to take, and I know they're one of the cheapest ones too. But if he comes out rusty and throws some picks or something like that, stuff like that could happen. But also I feel like he could rush the ball and take away some of the points that I know somebody like Chubb could get in this game, because we do know the Texans one of the worst teams again, giving up fantasy points to the rush, but it takes you to run a lot to really get those points. So, and the thing is that, we usually know Chubb is in for, 20 plus run attempts and stuff like that. But I do feel like Watson is probably going to run maybe 9 to 10 times. So, and I don't know how much is that going to take away for Chubb, because I feel like he's going to want to stick it to them, and probably rush in a touchdown in this game at least, even if he's having a struggle, a big, a hard time scoring and things like that. I still feel like he's going to do that in this game somehow. But I know they probably will lean on the run like they always do, throw a little bit, but like I said, he does run the ball, so I do expect him to maybe steal a touchdown for Chubb. So just keep that in mind when you're taking Chubb, because we're looking at Texans only giving up 14 points to quarterback anyway, so their defense has been pretty strong fantasy-wise and things like that. But running back, they're giving up 32.5. Receiver is only 28.4. They've been pretty one of the tough defense to throw against too. So tight end, we're looking at 12 points. So Njoku is definitely in play, I would say, for those 12 points. On the other side, we got the Browns only giving about 17 points to quarterback, 30 points to running back. So I definitely feel like Dameon Pierce is in play here. And his price is really cheap. I really like him. I usually, every time I take Dameon Pierce, he hits. So, and I feel like this is the week to run, put back Dameon Pierce in your lineups, man. 5,900, I feel like he definitely can hit, especially being at home. It's all about the reason why he hasn't hit, really, though, when you go look at this. His fantasy points here have been really low, but it's all the games that really, like, they're not able to compete in. They just leave the run behind, basically. So when they're able to stay close in the games and stuff like that, you go back to these 18 to 28 to 20 fantasy points. And I feel like they probably will have a chance to stay in this game, because it is Deshaun Watson's first game back. So definitely feel like he's back in play because of that. I don't really want none of the receiving options there for this, for this game, for at least for the Texan side of things. And I can't really say anything for, Atkins and stuff like that. If you want to take a shot at him again, having a good game like he did, I feel like it was kind of lucky, but he did come through. So we're going to move on, though, to the next game here. Let's see. So we have, and my bad, let me finish up just telling y'all all the fantasy points though. The Browns was giving up, what, 30.7 to running back, 33 to receiver, and tight end was 8.8. So just to finish that up, Texans was wide receiver 28 and tight end 12.3, just to finish that up. But now we got the Jets versus Minnesota. I feel like this is a really good game here. We have the Jets only giving up about 15.5 points to quarterback. At running back, they're giving up 22. At wide receiver, they're giving up 29. At tight end, they're giving up close to 12 points there. And then the Vikings are giving up at quarterback 21.1, running back 24.6, wide receiver 40.1, and tight end 13 points. So to me, it's showing to me that it's supposed to be a tough game, for the Vikings, which I feel like that's going to lead to, their best players having to show up. So definitely, I feel like Jefferson is in play possibly for the whole 29 fantasy points that it says they're giving up at receiver since it's supposed to be tough. And then I'm like the 22 fantasy points that it's saying for running back could be in play for Dalvin Cook too as well. But for the Jets side though, things like it's a lot easier for them. It feels like because the Vikings been giving up a lot of yards, completion percent is really high. Playing against the Vikings, so White is definitely in play. But also I feel like his receiver options such as a Garrett Wilson, even Elijah Moore and stuff like that are definitely huge in play. I also even like the cheap option down here for Conklin going against his old team too as well. So being that they give up 13 fantasy points to tight end, and I know the Jets actually use their tight end. Sometimes he gets 6, sometimes he gets 10, sometimes he gets 2 to 4 targets, but he is a part of the offensive scheme every game at least, and that's what really matters. For 3,100, I feel like it's a great value play. Possibly gets the whole 13 fantasy points for you and gets a score in this game because it should be pretty high scoring at least. From we know how Minnesota can definitely put up points, and we know the Jets is going to have to put up points to compete. So definitely feel like I said, White, Conklin. If you want to take any of those receiving options with Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, I feel like they're all in play because completion percent is very high against the Vikings, and also just yards that they give up is high. So White definitely gets in play because of that. And they're going to be without their starting running back and Michael Carter, relying on James Robinson, who they really haven't been using a lot, but maybe they use him a little bit more in this game. But so I definitely feel like that means they're going to air it out a little bit more. So pushes me more to make me think that White could be even a better play because of that. And let's see. So then the next game we have here is the Washington Giants game here. I probably don't want much from this game, but let's see what we got here. So Washington Giants, the Washington's giving up 18 points to quarterback. Running back only 19 points, so pretty tough against the run. 36 points against receiver. Tight end only about 8 points. And then the Giants is giving up 15.7 points to quarterback. Running back is 23.6. Wide receiver 28.9. Tight end 12.5. So the best play is actually the tight end on here for Washington, which I don't even know which tight end is going to be because they just, goodness gracious, like Logan Thomas plays and Jesse Bates or whatever. John Bates, gets in for the end zone touchdown and things like that. It's so hard to pick their tight end. So it's really not much I want to play here. Plus, like I tell you, I kind of stay away from rivalry matchups, especially as we get closer to the end of the season. They're really just tough to play, especially for fantasy points, man. Like it's always just tough matchups. So I kind of stay away from that because we're in big tournaments and you're trying to get the most points and you're probably going to get little points here. So I'm gonna go to the next game here. We got Tennessee and Philadelphia Eagles. So we got a big rematch. Revengeful game with AJ Brown here. And I noticed too that let's see, he's not questionable anymore, but Devontae Smith had a questionable injury with groin. Kind of feel like he's gonna be playing out there injured, which I feel like he's playing to be a distraction just so AJ Brown doesn't get doubled the whole game because I do expect a huge game from AJ Brown. Some of the fans kind of complain and stuff anyways about his production and stuff like that. When he had got traded, and he actually retaliated back and said some stuff back to them on Twitter, and like I said, during the offseason and stuff like that, saying that he was the best receiver that they ever had. So I do expect him to kind of show up. And the thing is about him, what I noticed is that, yes, we notice sometimes his targets are real low and stuff like that. He is going against a team that's been giving up 41 fantasy points to receivers, though. So I could expect something. This 42-point game right here and this 28-point game down here. Um, I definitely expect him to be in the range of something big like that. The one thing I noticed is that it doesn't take him many, catches to have a huge game, so he can do a lot with a little, and that's what I feel like is probably going to happen here. Like he might end up getting 10 to 13 targets though this game, just because I know his quarterback has to know how big of a game what this game means to him. So I do expect him to have double digit targets, but the only thing is I just know that he can do it in six, as we saw right here against Pittsburgh with 42.6. So if he catches six catches and goes for 100 and something against them, he can go off. So I definitely feel like he's huge in play for those 40 something fantasy points. Besides that, they're giving up 21.8 to quarterback. So I definitely feel like Hurts is in play with him as a stack if you want to, or just running, AJ Brown just naked out there. Running back, they're giving up 20.9. Tight end, they're giving up 12.2. For the tight ends, the Eagles is only giving up 11.3 to quarterback. At running back, they're giving up 23.8. So that's where like Henry is probably the best run back here because the most points I see here, 31.1 for wide receiver. The Eagles are giving up, and tight end is 9.8. If you want to still run out Treylon Burks, you can. He's been playing good lately, so if you want to do that run back, you can definitely take that too as well. And that's really about it, though. I would want to even take a shot at for this game. Let's see. So for the next game we have here, Seattle and the Rams, and it looks like the Seahawks is giving up 19.2 fantasy points to quarterback. What is that? 20 something, look like 20.3 or something like that. No, 30.3. My bad. 30.3 to running back for the Seahawks. And then 29.2 for receiver and tight end. Tight end looks like 19.4. I forgot they're like second in the league at tight end, so I know they're horrible there. Rams is giving up only 16 points to quarterback. Running back is 20.9. Wide receiver is 37. And then tight end is 9.6. So Rams is giving up most of their points to wide receivers. So definitely I would say in this game, we're looking at Metcalf and Lockett both are in play. Let me see, where's Lockett at? I think 6,000. Yeah, so 6,000 Lockett. I feel like Lockett is probably in for, could be in for a big game for him. Less times he's going to match up with, Jalen Ramsey and stuff on the field at all. He probably won't match up with him at all. And can get some big shot, touchdowns from him, I think, in this game. Like he's been scoring like the last four games, matter of fact, anyway. So yeah, like he scored in the last four games. So you could possibly see a big game from him. Completion percent is really high for the Rams. They give a high completion percent. So if Lockett is hitting like a 7 for 8 catches or something like that and a touchdown, or we possibly looking at right here with the 22.7 that he had right there with 9 for 11. That's something like that I think is in play here, man, against the Rams. I know it's a rivalry matchup, but seems like Tyler Lockett has always seemed to do pretty well against I want to say the rivalry matchups in his division. He's usually always the one that goes off. So if I had to say it was going to be a receiver that goes off in this game, I would think it would be Lockett. Of course, Geno is in play still because 19.2 fantasy points is pretty. I mean, not my bad. 16.3 fantasy points. So I feel like he's in play just because I feel like the receivers, he should be hitting with his receivers. And if his receivers are hitting, I don't see how he doesn't do well. So definitely there. Besides the other side of this game, I wouldn't want anything to really run back because the quarterback play hasn't been too great there. They just in and out with quarterbacks, and also the line hasn't been protecting pretty well for them to really take good deep shots and stuff like that. So I don't really want anything else on the other side of that game. Unless you want to try Higbee, because they are going with Wolford, I think, at quarterback this week. So if you want to try Higbee this week, you can definitely take a shot there because we do know they give up that. So that's not a bad run back there. Let's see. The next game we have here, though, Miami and San Francisco. So Dolphins have given up basically 24 points at quarterback, 21.7 points to running back, 35.7 points to wide receiver, and at tight end, they're giving up 16 points. 49ers is only giving up 14.5 points to quarterback, 16.8 points to running back, 36 points to wide receiver. And at tight end, they're giving up 9.6 points. But the 49ers and the Dolphins both are completion percent is very high. So I would say, the receivers are definitely going to be in play because of that. And then we know Tyreek Hill and Waddle can do a lot with just a little. And if you're going to tell me completion percent is going to be high, that means they can catch 4 to 6 catches and go off for 100 yards still. And this is a late game, pretty huge game, man. I want to say what, like a revenge type game for the coach for the Dolphins. And just yeah, it's just like I said, it's gonna be a crazy game because it basically feels like we're watching the same teams play each other in this game. It's just that the Dolphins seem to use the pass more of the same type of style offense, but they pass more. And the 49ers just run a lot. So, like I said, but both receiving options is going to be in play. I like Ayuk in this game. We've seen the Dolphins give up a lot of fantasy points to receivers, so I would say Ayuk is definitely in play. But if you want to take a shot for a value for like a Jawan Jennings, who's just coming off a pretty big game with 16.9 points right there last game and had 7 targets. So definitely for 3,200, I don't mind taking a shot there. But I like Ayuk a little bit more. I like Waddle too on the other side a little bit more than Tyreek Hill just because he's in the slot. Lines up with like a weaker cornerback for the San Francisco 49ers. And I know they're going to put most of their focus on trying to hold off Tyreek Hill for going off, out wide. But Waddle is where they're going to have the problem, I think, with and struggle a lot with. At running back, McCaffrey looks like he's gotten healthy, I guess, before this game started. But he had been not really practicing the most of this week, kind of limited and things like that. I know they have a backup in like Jordan or something like that. Let's see, what's his name again? Where is he at right here? Jordan Mason or whatever. So he might get some more runs and carries and like that for 4,500. Who knows? He might steal a goal line rushing attempt. So that could be in play because I do expect both of these teams to kind of get down the field and score. You have multiple times to score. So somebody like a Jordan Mason could be a value play, but if not, we know McCaffrey is definitely probably the best play because of the it goes probably back to what we saw early when he first got to the team. Right here, like against the Rams with the 40. Before Elijah Mitchell showed up, basically is what I'm saying because he had way more touches and also he was part of the pass at 9 targets right here. So that can all happen again for this game and he can have a huge game if that's the case. But let's see. So the next game here we got is the Dolphins. I mean, not the Dolphins. Kansas City and the Cincinnati Bengals, which is going to be a huge game. Golly. We got Chiefs giving up 20.6 points to quarterback. Running back is 24.5. Wide receivers 39.9. Tight end is 11. Bengals defense is giving up quarterback 13.7. Really low at quarterback, but running back 21.8. And then wide receiver 29.9. Tight end 11.7. So definitely Burrow, I would say, has to be huge in play for this game. It looks like, Chase is going to be able to go, but, we have to keep an eye on it. But it looks like he probably will be able to go. But optimistic he's on track. Okay, so yeah. And I just feel like all it does is kind of opens up because I feel like he might be on a snap count type of thing. And if he comes back, probably get about 5 to 6 targets or something like that. But I kind of feel like he just opens up the Higgins play. Like maybe Higgins won't be double teamed so much because of that. And Higgins has already been pretty on fire the last 2 weeks anyways. Back to back, basically 27 fantasy points. I feel like he stays on track with that and maybe even has a bigger game than that. Because Kansas City gives us so many points to wide receiver. I feel like Burrow is going to be huge in play to have a huge game. I feel like a double stack is actually in play here for, a T. Higgins. I want to say Hurst because I've noticed the Chiefs have given up, tight ends with a receiver kind of little stacks have happened over and over like weekly. So definitely would say those two things are in play there. If you want to run back, anybody on the other side, I definitely feel that, Kittle is definitely going to be in. I mean, not Kittle. Kelsey is going to be in play, and then as well as Juju, I feel like is definitely another good option. Since it also looks like I think, let's make sure did he not? Is he out? Okay, great. So Tony is out. I do feel like Sky Moore is definitely back in play again. I just hope they stop letting him do the punt returns because it really hurts his confidence, man. I feel like, he punt return, he's fumbling those punts, and stuff like that. It kind of hurts him. Just let him go out there and play receiver and have a good game. But I definitely feel like he's going to be part of those red zone packages that what we saw they was using for Hardman and things like that. So that's why I feel like he's a good play if you want to run back for 3,100 there. And let's see, is that it for that game? Also meant to say too in the San Francisco game that Kittle Kittle is probably a good option too because 16 points at tight end, that's definitely going to be in play. So meant to mention that. And looks like we got last game here. Chargers versus the Raiders, man. This is one of the rivalries that I actually like. It reminds me of how, what I want to say, like the Detroit Lions are, in my division for the Packers and stuff like that. Like most teams when they go to the Lions home, they're able to play really well and have shootouts and stuff like that. It feels the same way when teams in this division go to the Raiders home. Because we looked at Russell had a good game against the Raiders at the Raiders home. Pat Mahomes just seems to every time torch them when he goes to Vegas and plays them. And it's the same thing for Herbert. Same thing for Herbert. Every time he goes to the Raiders home, it's like every team goes in there and they throw more, they throw touchdowns. Like even like I said, Russell threw 2 touchdowns, y'all. We haven't seen him throw 2 touchdowns almost all season. And it was 2 receivers that we all would have picked, Sutton and Judy. Like it was crazy. So he had his best game. So that's why I'm saying like it reminds me of the Detroit Lions in my division when teams go to their game, to their home and always show up and play really good. So I definitely expect fireworks in this game. Um, I would say both quarterbacks is definitely in play because we looking at Chargers giving up 18 points fantasy to quarterback. Raiders are giving up 22 points fantasy. Raiders are the number one team in completion percent. So expect everything that Herbert throws to be caught, basically, because they're first in completion percent. Basically, over a little bit over 70% of passes are being caught, basically. So definitely expect Herbert is like probably one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to completion percent in this slate. Since he has this great matchup, has at least Keenan Allen is still able to go. DeAndre Carter had a decent game at least the first time. To believe, kind of not even just decent. It was kind of really good game. Just nobody knew to have him. But 15.4 points because Keenan Allen got hurt. But I definitely feel that the way the Chargers kind of like sub in their receivers throughout the whole drive, it definitely puts him in play for another 20 something fantasy points like he just came off of in this game. He did good the last time. I don't see why he can't do good again. But I also feel that Keenan Allen is like for the biggest fantasy point, in this game, I feel like it's Keenan Allen and Eckler. Because Keenan Allen was on pace. Like if you go back and look at the first game, he caught every catch. Like I said, completion percent is number one here. He caught every catch before he got hurt. Was already at 66 yards and 10 points. And this all happened like in the first half. He got hurt. So it's like if he would have stayed in the game, like what could he have been at? We talking about a touchdown and 100 yards. We're looking at near 28 fantasy points. So for 6,500, I feel like that's in play for him to go off. We know Devontae Adams is definitely in play to go off like what he did the last time. Basically, I don't expect him to have 17 targets. But I do expect him to get a double digit amount easily, maybe 13 to 11. And being that there's still no JC Jackson, and he killed them the first time with no JC Jackson. So definitely think he's in play for a huge game. This could be just the one game that's really needed out of the 4 games here when it comes to, I feel like, running back players because it's just so many fantasy points there. We're looking at running back 29 fantasy points from the Chargers. So definitely Jacobs is going to be in play. The Raiders are giving up 28.5 fantasy points to running back. So Eckler is going to be in play. At receiver, Chargers giving up 31.7. At wide receiver for the Raiders is 34.2. At tight end for the Chargers is 13.2. So Moreau is in play. At tight end for the Raiders is 13.9. So Everett is in play. Like it's just, and like I said, it's just the fact that on the Raiders side, they're giving up the highest completion percent. So they know that they're in for one. Like they're in to have to score crazy to just even keep up because there's really no stopping Herbert basically since y'all not stopping him with his throws and that's what he wants to do. This is just gonna be a crazy game, man. Like I said, you can either go value with Carter, Moreau, or you can pay up for maybe one player here and then go value. All that's in play, man. But it's definitely some huge fantasy points is coming from this game. So let's look. Now that we went through all that, let's just try to put together a lineup real quick. Trying to see because I know I'm gonna need something late in this lineup, and I'm just trying to think where do I want to go. I think, man, my best thing, should I just go with Herbert? Because it seems like it's a lot of value, man. Like I should be able to get to where I want to get to with this lineup. So I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna go with Damian Pierce. Like I told you, I love Damian Pierce. I know my Packers are probably gonna get ran on, but I don't know yet for sure if I want to grab that running back just yet. For Herbert, I'm trying to think, should I just go with DeAndre Carter and just take the savings just to see if I want something bigger at receiver here. Cause I'm really liking, like, man, the 7,000 range receivers this week are like really great receivers. I like the St. Brown play for the Jacksonville. Um, just because we know they've got 8 and up like and giving up 30 to 40 fantasy points, it feels like, to receivers that really, command a lot of the targets and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, let's see, so another receiver here I'm trying to think, do I want AJ or T Higgins? Because I really feel like AJ Brown's in for a big game. Higgins, I just feel like, has better quarterback when it comes to actually throwing the ball. In a pretty, they're both in, well, not really Tennessee. I don't feel like you're going to have to score a crazy amount um, unless Henry is going off on them. So, but I know for sure Cincinnati. So I'm going to just go with Higgins just because of that feeling that I know they're going to have to continue to score against Pat Mahomes, man. You just can't let up. So definitely feel like Higgins has a lot of opportunity to get, in the end zone and multiple targets and stuff like that, catches and touchdowns. Let's see. So tight end this week, man. I want to go with my tight end, or do I want to take my running back? I think for this week at defense, I like Washington's defense, but at the same time, I like the way the Jets have been getting a lot of sacks, man. Like, if you go look at this, like, two, I know last game, but still with an interception, but 6, 5, 6, and they're playing another team that drops back a lot for passing. So I definitely feel like those sacks are in play and could, cause Kirk Cousins to kind of throw a pick or something like that. So I definitely like that. Um, I kind of wanted a piece from that Jets game. I'm thinking might toss in Conklin just for a cheap option here, because I kind of want to pay up for one running back here, and I'm thinking, let's see, so because if I go with the, let's see, okay, if I go with the Montgomery play, what does that leave me? 6,800, and I would rather, I think, have Jacobs. And I see right here I'm able to go with like Keenan Allen if I stick with this, or Metcalf versus the Rams, which was good completion percent. And I'm able to do a double stack here though with Keenan Allen. So I might actually roll with this. I might actually roll with this, y'all. Like, because the Keenan Allen, but I do want to see what would have happened if I would have at least ran back Jacobs. So I'm left with 5,100. And George Pickens, I don't really mind that. I don't really mind that. Like, I think I might roll with this, y'all. So this is the lineup I got y'all here, man. It feels like a pretty good lineup, man, to have. Looks like I got about, what, 3 players or 4 players late, which I do feel like that's the perfect amount to have this week, just because there's a lot of huge fantasy capable games, man, for this weekend. So I think that's what I'm gonna end up with, man. Man, thank y'all, man, for the people that showed up to watch this video today, man. Like I said, I know it might be a little bit rough, because I had to do this on my iPad and not my computer and stuff like that. But I have been having to travel for this, big commercial, man. I had to shoot, so sorry y'all, but sorry for the week and things like that. Hopefully, I'm able to still do the showdowns for Sunday night and stuff like that. If we can get everything done here. But it's your boy J Star, man. Good luck this week, y'all. Win that big money, and I'm out. Peace, y'all.